What's up, y'all? It's TTC, aka the ThunderConductor, and we back for another YouTube video and Twitch stream. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and ring the bell. And if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and have the bell rung. We Twitch stream once a week and to do the YouTube video stuff twice a week. And I want to make sure that I get to interact with you all as much as possible. And so with that being said, I got a question for y'all real quick. What is you all's favorite monocolored cEDH deck? Mine is Rionia Fire Dancer. You know what I'm saying? Like, as you all know, like, I am that mono red guy. I've took Rionia to top 16s. But even though I love mono red, something in my heart and soul really got me like fired up to brew something a little different and bring back a brew that I kind of dabbled with, but I see crazy potential for. That being Teferi Temporal Archmage, Mono Blue Dynasty, because we start in waves in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we do. This is such a dope commander because it had a crazy positioning, like early cEDH, maybe like the 2016, 2015 time. So between that, yeah, so between that 15 and 17 time, this was really big. And there's actually guys who still perform crazy good with this list. And for me, I saw someone do it and it just stuck out to me. Like, my first favorite, actually my first favorite card type was Planeswalkers. I started playing around War of the Spark right before Strixhaven. That's like right before War of the Spark, I was playing around that Strixhaven time. And, well, yeah, with that being said, it was just like, it was the whole thing where I was just like, I love Planeswalkers. Planeswalkers are really cool. And so now I stumbled upon this commander and I was like, I want to make this happen. So what we're doing today is I'm going to be showing you all my Teferi Temporal Archmage cEDH brew. And I'll show you all where I got inspired, the win cons and everything. But before we get started, if you are looking for ways to support the channel, we have three main ways. Number one, we have our ThunderConductor proxies, where you get these premium paperback proxies. Oh, you seen the deck tech too early. You seen these premium paperback proxies. It's my way to increase access to this amazing format that we call cEDH. Also, if you want to join the ThunderConductor community, please join us on Discord. No fees, no nothing, just join us on Discord. It's fun. But if you want deeper access to the Discord, more ways to ask me questions both about cEDH and about my life. I am a professional musician as well, so shout out to my musicians out there. Or you also want shout outs from like me on my both on my Twitch and my YouTube. Shout out to Dre, you're amazing. Thank you for being a Patreon subscriber. Join our Patreon community. It's an amazing way to continue to support the channel and to keep the lights on and allow us to do what we do. I'm so thankful and grateful for you all. And at the end of the day, if the Patreon really ain't rocking with you, if it ain't really like, I'm not too much of a Patreon guy, I'm not too much of a proxy guy, I just want to say one time for the fun time, I love what you're doing and I want to support. Come on, link in the bio, buy me a coffee. Saying keeps the lights on and keeps us doing. But with that said, let's get straight into this deck tech. TTC, what does Teferi Temporal Archmage do? Well, I'm glad you asked. Teferi Temporal Archmage is a 6-mana legendary planeswalker that costs 4 colors and 2 blue. And so how this guy works is he comes in with 5 loyalty counters. The plus ability is our card advantage. Card advantage in the command zone is really good. It says look at the top card of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other in the bottom of your library. I believe there's like an instant and sorcery card that does the same thing, but having this on a beat on a large creature is really powerful. Next is the -1 ability, which is super powerful. It's untap up to 4 target permanents, and that allows you to untap lands, mana rocks, and other things and do crazy things. So you could tap out to cast this and then re-untap everything and keep comboing off and doing crazy things. And you have the -10 that says you get an emblem with you may activate loyalty abilities of planeswalker control or on any player's turn anytime you could cast an instant. So this allows you, if you do ultimate this and still have it, you can activate your planeswalkers at any ability, untapping rocks, getting more cards and doing all these crazy things that only be possible by nothing else. This is just the crazy thing. So with that being said, let's get straight into the juiciness. Okay, why do we run this? Well, as you all know anything about me, I can't run commanders that ain't got combo in the command zone. And so basically how this works is, first off, this card is an amazing 1-card combo with the one, the only, the Chain Veil. What does this card do? I'm glad you asked. So it does damage to you when you don't activate your planeswalkers. I'm joking. It does do that. It costs 4 colorless to cast, and it says at the beginning of your end step, if you didn't activate a loyalty ability of a planeswalker this turn, you lose 2 life. But it also says you can pay 4 mana to tap For each planeswalker you control, you may activate one of its loyalty abilities once this turn, as though none of the loyalty abilities have been activated this turn. And this is very similar to actually the Oath of the Teferi that allows Sisay, not Captain Sisay, but Sisay Weatherlight Captain decks used to get infinite like planeswalker shenanigans. But we don't want 5 colors, we just want 1 color. So let's just quickly talk about the win cons and how this deck works. So if you're not already aware, check me out on Moxfield. How this all works is you're able to just, you know, click this fun little primer and then we get into it. And we'll talk about the cards we're playtesting. But first, shout out to my inspiration for this list. I looked at a lot of Teferi lists. My favorite Teferi list was H. Varia's Teferi list. It's Teferi Temporal Archmage cEDH. This is the cat that actually won a lot of the cash card unlimited decks, and it looks like he actually hasn't updated in a while, so hopefully he's still piloting this. But he's won those cash card limiteds, and he has a turbo Teferi brew where it's really cool. My list is at this point maybe, I don't know how many cards. Actually, how many cards am I different from this list? That would actually be very interesting to see. That actually would be really cool, because I'm like, as we continue to evolve, I like to see, I know one thing that I very much did is I slowed the deck down just a wee bit. I did, because I have, let's see, at this point now, I think, yeah, I'm only 19 cards off the original list. Like, took a lot of basic lands out, added in a lot more, like changed up the Stax pieces and added some new pieces. So it's not too crazy off the list, but this brew is something that's really special to me. So show his list some love too. His primer is great as well, but we're going to start by going through mine because, come on now, it's TTC's primer. What we're going to be doing is how this list works, and is we bring up the chain veil. And the chain veil basically states that from the top, it says the Chain Veil Teferi. This is the old combo name, whatever not, otherwise known as Chain Veil Teferi, got its entire name from this card alone. It is called a 1-card combo, but it does require some setup. Okay, so number 1, you need 3 permanents that generate a total of 5 mana. Okay, you need Chain Veil in hand, and you need Teferi Temporal Archmage in the command zone, and you need to be able to cast it. That's a very important thing. Okay, once you have these 3 steps completed, here's how you will sequence the combo. Okay, 1, cast Teferi Temporal Archmage, and you're gonna -1 it. Okay, this will untap enough permanents to be able to cast and activate the Chain Veil. Okay, and it'll cost 4 to activate Chain Veil, so that at least 1 extra mana is gonna help you recast Teferi. But we'll get there in a second. All right. So you're going to cast Teferi Chain Veil. You're going to activate the Chain Veil, okay, for 4 mana. All right. And then you're going to -1 Teferi to untapping your 3 largest mana producing permanents and the Chain Veil, okay? Next, you're going to repeat step 3 and 4 until Teferi Temporal Archmage is at 1, using its last -1 ability to untap the 4 largest mana producing permanents. This time, you're not gonna untap the Chain Veil, okay? You're going to recast the Teferi Temporal Archmage from the command zone using the excess mana generated from your 3 large mana producing permanents. Well, really 4, okay? And you're going to recast Teferi, you're going to recast it. And now that you have the previous activated Chain Veil X times this turn, you will be able to use Teferi Temporal Archmages +1 X amount of times to put cards into your hand before you start repeating step 3 and 4, i.e. minusing it down to re-kill it and recast it. Okay, so for example, if I go to step 6, I can +1 Teferi Temporal Archmage 3 times now. I then get to -1 8 more times to generate more mana, kill my commander, recast it, and now the Chain Veil has been activated 11 times. And that means I can, when I recast it, I can now plus it 11 times and then minus it 11 plus 5 is 16 times. And so you keep doing that infinitely and infinitely, and at this point you are going to generate infinite mana of all colors you want, which is colorless and blue, and you can pretty much, not even pretty much, you can draw your entire library with Teferi's +1 ability. And the cool thing is, this will allow you to generate infinite mana and put your entire deck in hand, like we already said, okay? So the whole point of this then is that, all right, T, I see what you're saying. This is really cool. It's a commander-centric deck. And so now you see how the whole point, or basically this turbo variant, which for me is more of a turbo mid-range variant, we want to turbo out Teferi and use extra turn effects and other effects like this to really leverage our commander's ability to both untap and give us a card advantage, and then we win with our whole deck in our hand. We'll talk about what we do with the infinite mana and infinite card draw in a second, but let's start there. We good? All right. Now that we have that, I want y'all to take in for a second that one thing that I am never going to do is sit here and tell you all that you have to lean on a singular commander based strategy to do what you want to do. I'm all about backup combos. So there is a backup chain veil combo. Your prerequisites have to be Tezzeret the Seeker. This is actually one of the cards we use to tutor up chain veil to our hands. You need to have this in your hand, and you need to have the chain veil in your hand, okay? And if you have Chromatic Ori on the battlefield and a mana rock that produces 3+ mana on the battlefield, i.e. Mana Vault, Grim Monolith, Basalt Monolith, or Thran Dynamo, you actually can do the same thing but differently, okay? It will allow you will end this combo with infinite card draw, infinite color mana, infinite colorless mana, and infinite loyalty counters on Tezzeret, and infinite Planeswalker activations, okay? First, how does it work? All right, first, with Chromatic Ori on the battlefield, you're going to tap it for 5 colorless mana, and you're going to cast Tezzeret the Seeker. If you're not already aware, Chromatic Ori is a 7 mana artifact. That's actually not too hard to cast with all the mana rocks we have in the deck. But what it says is you may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. It doesn't change the color of the mana in your pool. It just says you can spin it as though it was any mana of any color with no restrictions, which is really great. You're going to tap then 5. You're going to tap it for 5 mana, and then you're going to use that to cast Tezzeret the Seeker. All right, we'll worry about the second ability in a second. What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, appreciate the follow, brother. Appreciate the follow. Got it. All right. So with that being said, we're talking about right now Teferi and a backup combo. If you want to see the full regular Teferi chain veil combo, pull back for a second. We'll pull it back like 5 minutes, but this is our backup combo. All right. So we've cast Tezzeret the Seeker. It's on the battlefield, and Tezzeret the Seeker has a plus ability that says untap up to 2 artifacts, and then has a minus ability that lets you search your library for an artifact with mana value X or less, where that is the minus X. That's the amount that you minus it down, and it allows you to search it up and put it onto the battlefield. So we usually just pay 5 and put chain veil on the battlefield, but chain veil's in our hand because for whatever reason we don't have access to our commander or something. All right, so we continue on. Chromatic Ori, we're going to activate Tezzeret's plus ability to untap Chromatic Ori and the mana rock that produces 3 or plus mana. All right, we're going to then cast a chain veil for 4 colors using 1 from Chromatic Ori and all 3 mana from the rock that produces plus 3 or more mana. All right, and then we're going to pay the 4 mana with the remaining 4 mana for Chromatic Ori and tap and activate the chain veil to allow you to activate Tezzeret's plus ability again to untap Chromatic Ori, and this time the chain veil. You're going to repeat step 5. This time you're going to tap Chromatic Ori for 5 mana, untap the you're going to activate the chain veil for 4 mana, leaving you 1 mana, and then you're going to reactivate the Tezzeret's plus ability to this time re-put these you're going to untap the Chromatic Ori and the chain veil again. This time when you tap the Chromatic Ori again, you have 6 mana, and you use 4, leaving you with 2, and you'll do this infinitely, and you're going to do this until you make infinite colorless mana. Cool. All right, cool. With that being said, now you're going to follow that up by going, okay, now you're going to use 5 of the infinite colorless mana to activate Chromatic Ori's second ability that says pay 5 and draw a card for each color among permanents you control, which basically means you'll draw 1 card because you have 1 color among permanents you control. You'll draw that, and then you'll pay fail for it to activate the chain veil again, allowing you to reactivate Tezzeret's +1 ability to untap Chromatic Ori and chain veil again. Okay, this time you'll do steps 6 and 7 infinitely to draw your entire deck. All right. Once again, we'll get to what we do with the infinite cards and the infinite mana in a second, but just know this is really cool because we get to know that we can win with our commander in chain veil and with the other planeswalker in our deck that's also a tutor for chain veil. All right, so with that being said, okay, all right, T, what if I don't have access to chain veil? What do I do then? don't worry, we have another backup combo. All right, Displacer Kitten is an all-star in this deck. Displacer Kitten says, Displacer Kitten is essentially another copy of the Chain Veil with the amount of 0 to 1 CMC spells and tutors. You will be able to win on board with almost nothing at times. Okay, now note the Displacer Kitten turns can be complicated at times, and you want to make sure that you take your time and try to avoid any mistakes. Ideally, a Displacer Kitten turn would look like, what's up, Sean? How you doing, bro? A Displacer Kitten turn will look like this. Okay, you want to cast Teferi, Temporal Archmage. You're going to minus targeting for permanents that generate a large amount of mana. Then you're going to cast Displacer Kitten, okay? If you're not aware, Displacer Kitten says it's 3 colorless and a blue. It has an ability called Avoidance, okay? Only card with Avoidance that I'm aware of, okay? Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, exile up to 1 target non-land permanent you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control, all right? So, I hope you feel better, Sean. Sean is saying he's mid. Hopefully the deck tip cheers you up, brother. Come on, man. Cheer up, brother. All right, so with that ability that we just stated, Displacer can once you cast non-creature spell, it can flicker Teferi Temporal Archmage if you're not already aware. Okay, so we can target Teferi Temporal Archmage with Displacer Kitten, and when you flicker a Planeswalker, it becomes a new entity or a new object, a new game object by the Magic's rules, and you can reactivate it. So once you cast Displacer Kitten, you can cast any non-creature spell in your hand, ideally a cantrip, and flicker, and you're gonna flicker Teferi Temporal Archmage with the Displacer Kitten trigger. If you need cards +1, look for Sensei's Divining Top or any low-cost spell or cantrip. And then if you need mana, you'll -1 for more mana and continue to cast spells. Like so, so with that being said, we want to then have a goal in mind, okay? We're looking for Sensei's Divining Top, okay? What Sensei's Divining Top says, you will have, once you get Sensei's Divining Top, you will essentially have won the game, okay? You'll use Sensei's Divining Top, to locate any non-creature spell and place it on top, and a spell you don't want underneath that. You're gonna draw with Sensei's Divining Top, okay? By tapping it. If you're not aware, Sensei's Divining Top has 2 abilities. You can pay 1, look at the top 3 cards of your library and put them back in any order, and you can tap it to draw a card and put Sensei's Divining Top on top of the owner's library, okay? Then you're going to cast a drawn spell and flicker Teferi Temporal Archmage, and then you're going to use Teferi Temporal Archmage's plus ability to put Sensei's Divining Top back into your hand, okay, and put the get rid of the unwanted card, okay. Then you will cast Sensei's Divining Top again to flicker Teferi Temporal Archmage again, and you need if you need more mana, you'll minus Teferi Temporal Archmage to and proceed back to step 1. If you have a fair amount of mana, use Sensei's Divining Top to see the top 3 to stack a good and bad card once again, or blindly +1 to put the card into your hand depending on how much mana you have available. And you can continue to do this over and over again until you found the Chain Veil or any other combat piece listed in this primer, and we're going to get to a lot. And with this said, we have Sean saying, other than that, been going through all my lists, making sure they're all different. Okay, let me know what list you've been working on, bro. Drop it down. All right, so another combo, quick, clean, and simple. If you are not already aware, Hullbreaker Horde is one of the best combos we've been having. If I remember correctly, Hullbreaker Horde came out a while ago. I can't even remember. Like I can't remember a time without Hullbreaker. I know we used to use Tyrant, but it being 7 mana and even having that flash speed is just goated. And being able to bounce spells off the stack, it's so cool. All right, but okay. With Hullbreaker Horde, you're looking to cast it and use 2 mana rocks, preferably 2 1 or 0 CMC artifacts to generate mana and bounce the other. For example, you can cast Soul Ring to bounce Mox Opal, and then tap Soul Ring, and then cast Mox Opal, and then with this, you repeat the process with Hullbreaker Horde triggers to generate infinite colors and infinite blue mana. All right. If you're able to generate infinite blue mana, you can do the following. You can cast a Teferi Temporal Archmage and use the triggered ability to bounce anything on your board. For example, the Mox Opal back to your hand. Then you'll use the +1 ability to put a card from your hand, from the top of your library into your hand, okay? Then you're going to cast the previously bounced permanent, the Mox Opal, and use the triggered ability to bounce the Teferi Temporal Archmage back to your hand. All right, you're gonna repeat steps 1 through 3 and draw your deck. So you saying we can combo with our commander? And it has an infinite draw. It's a draw outlet too. Yes, these are the commanders that I love. All in the command zone, but powerful 99s. My favorite. All right. But don't worry, if you don't have infinite blue mana, you only have infinite colorless. You can actually use Teferi Temporal Archmage's -1 ability to filter the colorless mana into blue mana using your lands. So, for example, say if instead of Mox Opal, you have a Soul Ring and a Mana Vault. You can do the same thing to generate infinite colorless mana, and then as long as you have 2 blue to cast that original Teferi Temporal Archmage, you'll cast a Teferi, bounce your Soul Ring because you have infinite colors at this point. You're going to minus Teferi to untap all your blue sources, and then you're going to recast using the infinite colorless mana, recast your Soul Ring, bouncing the Teferi to your hand. You'll float all the blue mana you can. So, for example, you'll need at least 3. You'll need 3 blue mana, like 3 blue lands. We're running a bunch of islands. You'll get there. You'll float the 3 mana from those sources, and then you'll basically at that point use 2 of that 3 mana going down to 1 blue mana to recast the Teferi. Untap all your blue sources. Again, rinse, wash, and repeat. Do it till you get the infinite mana. Nice, clean, super simple. And you'll just do this till you have infinite blue. And then understand that it's okay, even if in the event, because like I've said before, you don't want to always just lean on your commander, even though I love leaning on the commander. In the event that you're unable to even cast or activate your commander after generating infinite colorless and blue, you do have some outlets such as Urza Lord, High Artificer to make infinite construct tokens or cast your entire deck. And you also have Chromatic Ori, Staff of Domination, and the One Ring for infinite draw. Okay, and these are all possible to be done with Hullbreaker Horror. If you infinitely bounce Urza's Lord, High Artificer, you can make infinite constructs. We have a lot of extra turn effects in this deck, so then you'll just be able to go to extra turns, swing out infinitely. You also have Chromatic Ori. We've already talked about drawing infinitely Chromatic Ori. If you cast it, activate it, bounce it, cast it, activate it, bounce it, you'll draw your deck. Staff of Domination, Winch Watch, repeat. You'll pay 5 mana, tap it to draw a card, and then you'll pay 1 mana to untap it, pay 5 mana, tap it, draw a card, and Winch Watch, repeats, do it infinitely till you draw your deck. And the thing with the One Ring is, if you're already aware, you'll just cast the One Ring, tap it, draw 1 card, bounce the One Ring, cast the One Ring, tap, draw a card till you draw your whole deck. It's really cool. I love it. Actually, just such a powerful card. We have and before we go to the next one, we have Sean Rover saying he's been brewing Dogmeat, Caesar, Itali Primal Conqueror, the funny name Boborikmos, Amphibiothip, Magda, Yena Redtooth, Regent, the Master, Transcendent, 5-color Obnath. Ooh, spicy. Adric, Mathematical Genius, plus War Doctor, maybe 5-color Obnath, maybe Tameshi. So I'm gonna give you a little heads up. We actually do have a Tameshi brewing session coming up very soon. So if you make sure you subscribe, because we will be brewing Tameshi next week with actually one of the top Tameshi pilots who tops in a lot of cEDH tournaments online. So just stay tuned for that. We'll actually be streaming that one next week. All right. With that being said, we've already talked about Hullbreaker Report at this point. Great combo. What about Power Artifact? Okay, so Power Artifact is a direct combo piece with both Basalt Monolith and Grim Monolith. And how Power Artifact works is, it says basically this is the old wording. I love the errata text, is a lot better. How it works is Power Artifact. I love the errata text on this. What it says is no, that's Copy Artifact. Y'all. This is Copy Artifact. We'll look at Power Artifact. Here we go. For 2 blue, you can enchant an artifact you control and activated ability. And it basically says enchanted artifacts activated abilities cost 2 less to activate. This cannot reduce the mana in that cost to less than 1 mana. So with that being said, for our Basalt Monolith that taps for 3 and untaps for 3, or Grim Monolith that taps for 3 and untaps for 4, we can tap those float 3 mana and untap them for either 1 or 2 mana, depending on if it's Basalt or Grim Monolith. This will allow you to generate infinite colorless mana. And then the reason we run Staff of Domination, you can see now, is that we have so many ways to generate infinite colorless mana that we can go infinite with Staff of Domination, or Urza. We can sink all our mana into Urza Lord, High Artificer to draw our entire deck or cast our entire deck. And then we also have Chromatic Ori, same thing. At this point, we just infinitely, at this point, this is just an infinite filter, and then we can use this infinite blue mana to recast to cast our commander and do the infinite blue thing where we cast our commander. Oh, how do I do this again? Yes, we cast our commander, and then we just, at this point, we just got to filter it, and then we will have to navigate that. But as we continue, we can also use, in the event that we don't have a win con, we do have large spells in this deck that we'll get to, called like Expropriate, a 9 mana spell. What the heck? Not mana in cEDH? Yes, it's possible. This can also allow you to cast some of your larger spells like Expropriate. Okay. And fun fact, you can also place Power Artifact onto the Chain Veil to reduce the activation cost down to 2, allowing you to do the Chain Veil combo for only 3 islands, or just 3 mana, which is really cracked. All right. Now, Rings of Brighthearth is our next combo. Rings of Brighthearth basically is a direct combo piece with Basalt Monolith and Chromatic Ori, only if we control Voltaic Key, okay? How it works with Basalt Monolith is if you control Rings of Brighthearth, which says whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do copy that ability, you may choose new targets for the copy. So you activate Basalt Monolith to float 3 mana. And you have Basalt, and you have Rings of Brighthearth over here. You have 3 mana in the air, 3 mana in the air. And if you add 2 extra mana, when you go to pay 3 to untap it, you can activate Rings of Brighthearth to untap it twice. So you have 1 untap trigger for the 3 mana, and you have 2 floating mana. And then in response to the next untap trigger from Rings of Brighthearth, you tap it again, floating 3 mana. Now you're back up to 5 and on tap. No, now you're up to 6. Yes, I did that right. Yep. So you turn 5 mana into 6. Hopefully I said that helpful. But with that being said, you turn this into infinite colorless mana. And with Chromatic Ori, it's very similar. If you have Rings of Brighthearth on the board and Chromatic Ori and Voltaic Key, which key thing about this, you can't do it with Manifold Key, but you can do it with Voltaic Key. It allows you to, you are basically, instead of copying Basalt Monolith's untap trigger, you're copying Voltaic Key's untap trigger to untap the Voltaic Key itself and Chromatic Ori. So you go Rings of Brighthearth on the board, Voltaic Keys on the board, and Chromatic Ori's on the board. So you tap Chromatic Ori for 5 mana. You will use 1 mana to activate Voltaic Key and 2 more mana to copy that untap to untap the Chromatic Ori and the Voltaic Key itself. At this point, you've used 3 of your 5 mana, floating 2 mana, and you now in the same position again to have the Voltaic Key and the Chromatic Ori untapped. You'll repeat this to net infinite mana, and then you can continue to do this with Chromatic Ori to draw your entire deck like we talked about before with the Tezzeret, or do whatever you want. So with this just being said, with just the Basalt and Rings, you can generate infinite colors. You have Sensei's Divining Top. You can also do shenanigans with that. You can do the same Voltaic Key trick with Chromatic Ori if you have Sensei's Divining Top by putting all the untapped trigger, by all the draw triggers on the stack by responding with it. You can also do this sync with Staff of Domination, Urza's Lord High Artificer, and we already talked about Chromatic Ori. And you also have the One Ring because it taps. Just make sure you don't draw your deck out because it will exponentially draw you more. So 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Make sure you just be cognizant you don't overdraw yourself, okay? And you can to either dump or filter your color into the winning game. This can also allow you to cast some of your larger spells, such as, once again, Expropriate. And fun fact, if you have Rings of Brighthearth, you can get 2 Chain Veil activations for just 6 mana. So it virtually allows you to do the combo for a little bit cheaper, but it just, you know, you got to have that first initial burst of mana to help get you across the finish line. The last combo that I'm just going to show you all is the Astral Dragon Machine God's Effigy combo. So we actually are running Machine God's Effigy over another 4 mana rot called Throne of Eldraine, and we'll talk about that switch out in just a second. But we added it because I wanted to add some clones to this deck. They're very powerful. Clones are just generically a powerful thing. And so I originally had taken Expropriate out of the deck, and I was like, okay, I want to try to add another combo that doesn't take the commander to run. But the thing about it is, if I be fully transparent, our deck, we're in mono blue and we don't have a lot of ways to tutor creatures, so that's not a problem. I do want to run this through this combo, because if you want to run it, please feel free. But the thing is, though, I do believe that Expropriate is just a better card because it's an auto win. It can win by itself. Like if you're able to just cast Expropriate, and if you can either take 3 of your opponent's permanents or take 4 extra turns, if I remember correctly. Expropriate says starting with you, each player votes for time or money. For each time vote, take an extra turn after this one. For each money vote, choose a permanent owned by the voter and gain control of it. And then you exile Expropriate. So basically, you are going to automatically use Chime. So you're automatically going to get one extra turn, because you're not going to choose money to gain control of your own permanent. Yeah, unless someone is controlling your permanent. See, choose a permanent owned by that voter. So yeah, if someone's controlling your own permanent, you could do that if you wanted to, hypothetically speaking. But the cool thing about that is, though, you can go like, all right, I'm just gonna, at this point, most people in the cEDH game they're gonna say fuck it, just take the extra turns and you're gonna win, because if you can't win in 4 back-to-back turns, you're playing the wrong deck. We'll just leave it like that. All right. But how the Astral Dragon Machine God's FG combo works is, first you're gonna cast Astral Dragon and you're gonna pay 6 colors and 2 blue. All right. Then Astral Dragon enters, and you're going to target Machine God's effigy that's already on the board. You're going to use Machine God's effigy's ability to have both tokens that Astral Dragon has, because Astral Dragon says when Astral Dragon enters the battlefield, create 2 tokens that are copies of target non-creature permanent, except they're 3/3 dragon creatures in addition to their other types, and they have flying. Okay, so you're going to make 2 Machine God's effigies, and then you'll have both tokens instead enter as non-creature artifact tokens, copies of Astral Dragon with tap, add a blue. Both Astral Dragon copies trigger. You'll repeat step 2 through 4 any number of times, and you're going to create an additional Astral Dragon trigger on the stack of each loop. Once you have infinite Astral Dragon triggers, you're going to just do this infinitely. Resolve them, and you're going to create infinite copies of all non-creature permanents that are 3/3 dragon creatures in addition to other types, which is all of the non-creatures on your opponent's boards, all the non-creature permanents on your opponent's board, so all the mana rocks and everything, but they're actually going to be 3/3 dragons, because they won't fall under that Machine God effigy rule. Okay. And then you may also target Machine God's effigy any number of times to generate infinite non-creature artifact copies of all creatures, and you can cast one of your mana extra, your mini extra turn spells to kill all your opponents, or pass turn to see if your opponents can find a way to answer your infinite board state before he gets back to you. That's kind of the reason why I'm not running this one. It's kind of like I don't like that. But from the results of this, you'll get infinite Machine God effigies for infinite blue mana. You'll get infinite creature token copies of all non-creature permanents, and you'll get infinite creature tokens and infinite combat damage for on your next turn. And you'll get infinite non-creature artifact token copies of all creatures on board, and you'll get infinite ETBs. So it's cool. Not really my thing. It's fine though. With that being said, how do we win? And now that you have your deck in your hand, with your entire deck in your hand, you have many ways. You have any of the ways above to make infinite mana if you have not already done so. After this, you can play any creature, take infinite turns with Nexus of Fate, which we do run. It says take an extra turn after this one. If Nexus of Fate we put into the graveyard from anywhere, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into the owner's library instead. And you're going to just swing at your opponents every turn, infinitely. You can do this with Hullbreaker Horror, any creature if your opponents don't have a blocker. You can also make infinite construct tokens. Urza Lord, High Artificer with Displacer Kitten, Hullbreaker Horror, or Nexus of Fate. You can basically, with Displacer Kitten, infinitely flicker or Urza's Socket to make infinite constructs. You can use Hullbreaker Horror to infinitely recast Urza's Lower Hide Artificer to get the infinite ETBs, or you can just infinitely cast Nexus of Fate to take infinite turns with the one construct you have and infinitely just hit people with that. Now, if for some reason Nexus of Fate is out of the game, just a similar lethal amount of attackers, usually with Urza Lord, High Artificer, and play an extra turn spell, and you're going to use Mystic Sanctuary, which is our fetchable land, to put a spell back on put the spell back on top of your library, and then you'll be able to kill 2 to 3 players, which is usually isn't a big deal. Usually with our commander at this point, once we have infinite mana and infinite draws, we have a lot of extra turn effects. We can just cast them all and then take near infinite turns, and we will kill all players. Okay, and if you are ever worried about decking yourself, or Nexus of Fate / Mystical Sanctuary won't cut it, just remember, you don't have to put your entire deck in your hand. Okay, when you +1 Teferi, Temporal Archmage a ton, you don't actually have to, no one's making you take your whole deck to your hand. So you can just basically selectively do it because you're seeing the top 2 cards and you're choosing one. So you can just sculpt the perfect chunk of cards, leave, I don't know, 20 or 10 cards left in your library, and then as you take your extra turn, you don't have to worry about ever decking yourself completely, because usually by that time you're Gucci. Okay, with that being said though, okay, TTC, I'm glad you've gone through all the win cons, everything's Gucci, everything's cool. What now? Like, what are the other pieces to make this happen? I'm glad you asked. We're gonna go through these quick tags real quick, starting off with ways to protect these win cons. Okay, so we have a nice counter spell suite. We got Offer You Can't Refuse, Buried Ruin to go get our Chain Veil back out the graveyard, Displace Your Kitten to flicker our permanents, not just for comboing, but just to protect our permanents as well. Fierce Guardianship, nice counter magic, Flusterstorm, Force of Negation, Force of Will, Hullbreaker Horde can bounce spells off the stack, Mana Drain, Mental Misstep, Mindbreak Trap, Misdirection. We're a mono blue, so we get to run Misdirection. We got Muddle in the Mixture, Mystic Sanctuary to re-get a spell out of a graveyard, Pact of Negation, Staff of Domination. I do see this as a protection spell purely because that paid for tap target creature is actually really clutch. Because say if we have a bunch of mana because we cast Teferi and untap a bunch of rocks, we can use Staff of Domination at this point to tap creatures that could possibly kill our commander. Okay, and then we got Swan Song and a recent include Trick Bind to stop different things like channel abilities that may try to stop our combo. Because right now, since we're not in red, we don't have a way to stop our opponents from just bouncing our Chain Veil or bouncing our Teferi, even though if we have a lot of counter magic. Okay, but with that said, we got to get to those cards. So let's talk about card draw and our card draw advantage engines. Okay, starting off, I do count my extra turn effects as card draw engines, but we have Brainstorm first. We have draw 3 cards and put the 2 cards in your hand. These are what we like to call, put 2 cards from here on top of your library. These are like what we like to call cantrips. Okay, so they're basically allowing us to draw cards for one mana. All right, so Brainstorm, it's a cantrip. Capture gems out. I see this card draw because you're taking an extra turn, you're being able to see 1 more card. You got Cephalic Coliseum, you got Chromatic Aura, we've already talked about Infinite Mana Outlet. Consider Expropriate, draw 4, not bad. Gataxian Probe, Hedron Archive. It's a little chunky for 2 mana, but it actually a big thing that I'll say when we're doing our Chain Veil combo, getting 5 mana total is sometimes tough, and we have to make sure we plan, because you can't just, it has to be between 3 permanents, so it can't be a 2 mana, 1 mana, and a 1 mana. It has to be usually 2 2-mana permanents or a 3-mana permanent, like a 3 and a 3, a 1, and a 3 and a 1 and a 1 to make 5, or a 2 and a 1. Okay, so it's important to run these rocks that run 2 or more mana. All right, got the Karn's Temporal Archmage, Karn's Temporal Sundering. We got Lorien Revealed. I count it as a land drop, but there's times where being able to just draw 3 more cards because we're just in blue is important. Of course, we run the Fish. Of course, we have the Nexus of Fate, and we also run Rhystic Study down here, but with no enchantment tutors because we're not in white. It's kind of tough times to really get there and guarantee that we get these in our opening hand. Okay, we got Opt, Peak, and Ponder, and Prior Damage is more cantrips. We got Repeal as a bounce spell that's also a cantrip. We got Savor the Moment is an extra turn spell, and got to draw a card, and we have Seagate Restoration. All right, we also have Sensei Divining Top, tap it, draw a card, Staff of Domination, pay 5, draw a card. We make a lot of mana, so don't worry about the costs and costs. Temporal Manipulation, the One Ring, the best draw engine in my opinion in all of Commander right now, especially if you can get it down on turn 1 or 2. It's goated. Then we have Thought Scour. This is great top deck hate, and also as a cantrip. We have Time Warp, and we have Urza's Lord High Artificer. I count this as card advantage purely because you can pay 5, shuffle your library, and just exile the top card of your library. And as long as there's not a Dranth on board, you can get some card advantage, but just keep it in mind. Keep it in mind, okay? We do run a lot of clone effects in this deck. Not a lot, but the ones that I thought were acceptable being Copy Artifacts, which is great for getting more 2 and 3 mana rocks that go for a combo. Machine God's Effigy, which I actually really love. One of the best things, if you've never experienced it, is a Machine God's Effigy target that comes in a copy as a Bowmaster, because if they don't have a bow stage or artifact removal, it is an unkillable Orcish Bowmaster, which is crazy. We got Phyrexian Metamorph, comes in as an artifact or a creature, and we also have Sculpting Steel that comes in as an artifact, because we really want to make sure we get those 5 mana from the 3 permanents for that Chain Veil, okay? We got 7 extra turn effects: Capture Jim Zhao, Expropriate, Karn's Temporal Sundering, Nexus of Fate, Savor the Moment, Temporal Map Manipulation, and Time Warp. I want you to be very careful, though, when you all cast Karn's Temporal Sundering and Time Warp. Time Warp is difficult only because these two target. Now, the cool thing about Karn's Temporal Sundering is, though it exiles itself, you can remove a Stax piece and take an extra turn. Like, say if you cast your commander and then, I don't know, for some reason there's a Stax piece that's stopping you from fully going infinite, or like there's something on board like the new white enchantment that's 2 white and 2 colors that allows you to bounce, that says you can take extra turns. You can cast this, target yourself to take the extra turn, and bounce it, and so you can actually take the extra turn. But the thing is, though, deflecting spot will be the bane of these cards, because if they deflecting swatted, your opponent will get an extra turn, which is never fun. Okay. Next, we have an infinite draw outlet. If we're able to infinitely draw out our library, we can infinitely cast Nexus of Fate. Next, we have infinite mana outlets with Chromatic Orrery, Staff of Domination, the Chain Veil, and Urza's Lower High Artificer. We've talked about those. Our land base is pretty simple. I have taken out a lot of basic lands for these utility lands. I really love utility lands, so this is my personal thing. So, of course, we got Ancient Tomb, Blast Zone, to be able to remove some very tricky Stax pieces like that just get in our way. One of our big ones are the 2 mana for the artifact hate, being the Collector Ooves and the No Rod effects. Being able to just set up a turn, during the instep we pop all the 2 mana non-land permanents, and then we untap to try to get to go for a win is great. Cephalid Coliseum, draw for ourselves. Plus, it can stop those early Thassa's wins. Got some Fletch lands, Gemstone Caverns, Artifact Tour with Inventor's Fair, Lorian's Revealed, Manamo to untap the 1 ring and untap any legendary creatures or permanents we want to. We got Omniscient Cemetery, which is actually a great removal spell. Being able to exile it and then shuffle a creature into an opponent's library is really powerful, because it just, some Stax pieces just cook this deck, dude. Otawara is more removal. We got Mystic Sanctuary as a way to put in if we have 3 islands already out, not only does it come in untapped, but you also get to put an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library, and then you can +1 your Teferi to look at the top 2 cards and put into your hand. So really good. Sprites and Scary, personal choice. I do love the play this turn 1 and then untap. Now we have play another land. We have 3 mana on turn 2, just with our land bases alone. Seagate Restoration, we make enough mana just to cast this for 7 mana. We're running 9 Snow-Covered Islands because I just like the Snow-Covered Islands. We have Teleria West, another personal include, another great one that can get us the 0 mana rock like a Mana Crypt or a Pact of Negation to either protect our win, or a Mana Crypt to help get us further into the game faster. And Urza Saga, do I need to say anything else? This is your blockers when you don't have a lot of creatures, because we only do run about 5 creatures, I believe. And also it is your tutor, another tutor for a 0/1 mana rock. For life gain, I like keeping track of this purely because we don't run a lot of creatures, so kind of take a gauge of where your deck is able to navigate. So if you don't have a blocker, you're going to end up getting cracked up by Tim Necrom a lot. We have Inventor's Fair, which is life gain if you have 3 more artifacts, and we have the Staff of Domination, which is pay 2, you gain a life. All right. Now we have Moonsilver Key as one of our tutors, and these are basically you are able to get any mana, any permanent that produces mana. I believe any artifact permanent. So these are just Arcane, Basalt, Chromatic, Chromox, Felwar, Monolith, Hedron, Lotus Petal, Jewel Lotus, Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, Mox Diamond, all the good stuff. And you can also get your basic lands, but that's only if you need more color fixing. And you can also get the Soul Rings and Thran Dynamo and Mox Opal as well. We are running Muddle of the Mixture as we brought up earlier, and some notable tutor targets that I usually care about getting is Copy Artifact, Curse Totem, because Kennen will just run this deck over, Moon Silver Key, Power Artifact, Transmute Artifact, and Trick Bind. When it comes to notable Rings of Brighthearth copy targets, it's of course the Basalt Monolith. We can also double Sevel Up Coliseum. We can double up Chromatic Ori's tap ability. If we have a shit ton of colors mana, we just want to draw 2 cards instead of 1. It's happened before. We have our double fetch land. So if you crack a fetch and pay 2, you can basically go find, it's an activated ability. So you're able to go find 2 islands instead of 1. You have the Grim Monolith, the Hedron Archive, the Inventor's Fair, Lauren Revealed, same thing. If you trigger this ability, well, yeah, if you activate this ability, go get 2 islands. You got a Manifold Key, Manamo, Moon Silver Key, more fetches. Odawara is an activated ability, so you can basically double bounce something. You got more fetches, Sensei Divining Top, really cool because it combos with it if you have infinite mana. You have the Staff of Domination, infinite mana, and a Voltaic Key, mind you. Staff of Domination, Tezzeret the Seeker, Chain Veil, and the One Ring, and Urza Lord High Artificer, Urza Saga, and Voltaic Key. All right, now lastly, we have our notable Tolaria West tutor targets, okay? So that would be Sevel Up Coliseum. Any of your, we can grab any of our lands, but we can get Chrome Mox, Inventor's Fair, J-Lo, Lotus Petal, Mana Crypt, Manamo, Mox Diamond, Mox Opal, Mystic Sanctuary, Odawara, and Pact Negation. One of my favorite things to do is just go get Pact Negation. All right, and so next we have our ramp packages. All right, so offer you can't refuse. Counter your own spell. Okay, Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet. We've talked about a lot of these already. We're gonna scroll through it. Notable things: I do count Displacer Kitten as a ramp spell because you can float mana and then cast spells to flicker your mana rocks to float more mana. We've pretty much all seen these more ramp spells. I love Mana Drain as an interactive spell, but also when I plan on going into a huge combo turn, Phyrexian Morph. We got the Urza's Lord High Artificer. We've talked about the ETB, and we've also talked about the Mana Sink. But also remember, you can tap untapped artifacts you control to float blue mana. And then we have removal and interaction. Alrighty, so talked about most of this already. The main things that we haven't really talked about is Cyclonic Rift, both as a single target and a board wipe. We have Expropriate, which can allows us to remove permanents off our board, our opponent's board, if they don't want to give us that extra turn. We have Fierce Guardianship, Flusterstorm, Force of Negation, Force of Will, Hullbreaker Horror, Karn's Temporary Sundering, all that other good stuff. Talked about most of this already. Yep, talked about it. Great removal spell with Thought Scour we brought up earlier. This being able to put hate on top deck tutors is, without a shadow of a doubt, just cannot be estimated enough. All right. Now next we have Stax. Not a huge amount of stacks, but these stacks pieces do make an impact. We are notably running Curse Totem and Gravedigger's Cage to hate on those creature activated abilities, because the only one we're really hurting on our own is our Urza, and we also have Gravedigger's Cage because we're not doing Breach. So let's stop the Breach players from doing that, and also the Kennen players. Very powerful decks. I count Mystic Remora and Rhystic Study as stacks pieces because it will warp how people play the game. We also run Trinisphere. I love this because our commander costs 6 mana, so when we're doing our combo, this is damn near a silence for our deck. Very powerful, and because of all the artifact tutors, which we'll begin to in a sec, this is just a great piece to just smack down early once we've already early ramped out, and it will shut the game down. Now, for our tutors, we are running Fabricate, Lauren Revealed, all of our fetch lands, Tezzeret the Seekers for the -X ability, Tolaria West, Transmute Artifact, Trinket Mage, we can get any 1 or less cost artifact, and World of Invention for the instant speed tutor ability. When it comes to some Trinket Mage and Urza Saga tutor targets, though, pretty much like the 0/1 man stuff. So just pretty much anything 0/1 mana. Yeah, like the big ones I would definitely say is Sensei's Dividing Top. We got Gravedigger's Cage. Getting out that J-Lo can be huge. to help us cheat our commander if we already have a lot of mana available to us, or maybe even just getting a mana ball or a mana crypt or a soul ring if we just need that extra mana to finish off, to really set up and do our big chain veil combo turn. Lastly, we have Untap Effects, Manifold Key and Voltaic Key and Manamo, and we also have the Staff of Domination, which can untap target creatures if we need to untap our own blocker. We also have Tezzeret the Seeker, including our commander, and I count Displacer Kitten as a flicker, but also an untap effect for whichever non-land permanents we control. Now, we've already talked about our win cons, but if you have not already seen them, take a view at the screen: Basalt Monolith, Chromatic Orrery, Copy Artifact, Displacer Kitten, Grim Monolith, Hullbreaker Horde, Nexus of Fate, Phyrexian Metamorph, Power Artifact, Rings of Brighthearth, Sculpting Skill, Sensei's Dividing Top, Staff of Domination, Tezzeret the Seeker, the Chain Veil, Urza Lord High Artificer, Urza Saga, and Voltaic Key. All right, and if I didn't already say, you can do infinite untap shenanigans. You can make infinite constructs with Urza Saga. If you don't have access to Urza Lord High Artificer, you can use, once you make infinite mana and infinite Teferi activations, you can tap and untap the Urza Saga to float. To at this point, you'll be able to just activate the ability to make a bunch of 0/0 constructs and take an extra turn. Now, before we do our practice hands, just to kind of give y'all a vibe or what the type of hands we're looking for, this is built off more of a turbo build, like I said before, but I've kind of adapted a little more mid-range to be a little more consistent. I want to talk a little bit about my sideboard and why I have certain things that's excluded. It's pretty beefy, but the main things I'll bring up is you'll see possible other combo pieces that I was thinking about adding, possible some instant speed shenanigans, but because our commander cannot be activated at instant speed unless we ultimate it, Born really didn't feel that good, so I decided to let that go. Was thinking about some other pieces like these Stax pieces to protect our wins, or this to be able to take a spell off the stack, or Consecrate Sphinx allowing us to be big draw, but didn't see them as super consistent because we are not able to guarantee that we get this card consistently, and I really didn't have a slot that I want to change it for, and though I still look at it as a potential. We decided not to run ISO Rev and Dramatic Scepter. I'm not a huge fan of Dispel. I actually recently just took out Disrupting Stroke for Trickbind, but we'll talk about that. Thinking about Dress Down just a little bit. Fairy Mastermind, Gilded Drake. Not a huge fan of Gilded Drake. I'm be honest, there's too many clones that are meta right now. Imposter Mech, I do think about this card pretty often, especially because it combos with Devoted Druid if your opponent controls Devoted Druid. But and I've actually, if you want to know, I actually got that from playing my Tasker list. Check the link in the bio for all the good stuff. Intellectual Offerings, yeah, I took this out the deck, but we'll talk about that soon. Thinking about possibly running this MDFC, but it's a little too fringe because it coming in the battle tapped. I'm not running Karn right now, even though it can get artifacts out of exile. I'm not really wanting to be too much of a Stax build with the original intention. Ledger Shredder's cool, but the card selection is meh. Being Lethal Form is another possible combo piece. Nezahall's draw. Mind Stone's a little more draw. Power Sync, really powerful counterspell. That's an OG counterspell that just says counter target spell unless the controller pays X. If he or she doesn't, that player taps all lands and mana with mana abilities he or she controls and empties his or her mana pool. So the thing about this one is it seems like it has crazy big potential, but the thing is though, it's like I'm gonna be fully transparent. Like, I don't think this is the most powerful thing purely because we have so many mana rocks in our format. So still thinking about it, but we'll see. We have March of Swirling Mist. Been thinking about possibly adding another board wipe. This being a temporary board wipe can be good. And also to remove those Stax pieces. Another artifact tutor will reshape. I was originally running this before I added in the 5 mana card from the Doctor Who set that lets me to shuffle in the creature back in, snap back. Saloon Vision to let me dig for cards at instant speed. But this MDFC coming in tap was once again felt a little cringe. Not a fan of Spell Pierced. Spellskite, I actually want to take a sec to talk about this one. Spellskite is interesting. I really want to add this to the deck, both to have another creature blocker, but also one of the biggest weaknesses to my deck is players. How do I say this? One of the biggest weaknesses to this deck is someone both Sageoing or Otawaring my what's it called? My Chain Veil. And Spellskite honestly would be the answer. I added Trick Bind because it's more malleable, but I'm actually still very hard thinking about Spellskite as a way to change the target of a spell or ability. Even if it means protecting something my opponents have, it's very malleable. Submerge, thinking about it, Teferi Matrix Zalfir, it's another silence effect. It's pretty pricey, but with the amount of mana generation we have, it's possible. We'll see. Channel Flex still can work, but being able to silence all our opponents is still very powerful. Throne of Veil Drain, we'll talk about that in a sec. Time Twister, if you know anything about TTC, I do not like wheels. I don't know why. No, I know exactly why. I'm not a big fan of people getting refilled, and if I'm not having more cards to them, so it's just the math just never works out in my opinion. So that is what it is. Took out Torpor Orb for the Curse Totem. We'll talk about that in a sec. Last one I really want to touch on is these two Planeswalkers right here. Ugin the Spirit Dragon. You can basically, with the Chain Veil combo, if you have this, you can basically do 3 damage infinite to any target infinitely. It also has it's also a board wipe on it. The biggest weakness that the original pilot had with it, other than this art being fucking dope, is the biggest weakness to it is it just costs 8 mana and can be very easily counterable as a board wipe. And it doesn't stop rocks, but it does exile each non-land permanent with mana cost extra less that is 1 or more colors, and that really doesn't affect us because of the number of artifacts we run. Another one that I think about is the Teferi Matrix of Time. It has card draw on it. It can get around. It can exile a Grand Abolisher if we're sitting on it, and it can help me take extra turns if I'm able to keep it around for a couple turns. We're just holding off on it a little bit because I'm kind of enjoying the brew. It really doesn't need it too much as of right now. Now, last thing I want to do is talk about my switch outs. We've already touched on these spells, but took out Spell Pierce from Mull of the Mixture. We added in Teleria West over Snow-Covered Mountain, Surprising Scary over Snow-Covered Mountain, Mouth of Ronan, but turned into an Omniscient Cemetery into Snow-Covered Island. I'm saying mountain. These are islands, guys. Slow down, TTC. Cursed Totem over Torpor Orb, okay? The big reason for this is stopping Dockside and Thassa's Oracle is cool, but a lot of times people have to get there through activated abilities, through creatures, whether it's the Sisay or the Thrasios or the Kennen and all the other things. This is way better at shutting the game down. So I recently added Blast Zone as well over Snow-Covered Island. If you can't tell, I know how monocolored decks run. You don't need this many islands. You're a monocolor, have fun, add utility lands. Took out Throne of Veil Drain. This mana only being able to be spent on monocolored spells is meh. And I rather have the clone effect. This one's a really big one. The Intellectual Offering, I took this one out for Time Twister at first, and I liked it if I could turn one Time Twister and mess my opponents up, but I then just added Staff of Domination because I realized I had too many ways to make infinite mana, and if I didn't have access to my commander, then it really didn't do anything. So I love Staff of Domination as that finisher to really get the job done. And I recently, the last MDFC I took out was Snow-Covered Island over Buried Ruin and Disrupting Shoal. I love this spell, but I want to try out Trick Bind because of the malleability with this card and really being able to just shut my opponents down when they're trying to stop me, but also shut them down when they are trying to stop shut them down when they're trying to stop me, or shut them down when they're trying to go off themselves. All right, but with that said, let's do some test stands. Okay, this deck is very complex but super simple, super simple. Okay, we went through a lot of information. So what I want you all to do is, if you're on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe, and if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow and subscribe. I want you to make sure you drop down right now, what has been your favorite part thus far about this deck? Which card is your #1 pick, or which card is your #1 pick of like, I wouldn't run that? With that being said, we also want to talk about some ways to support the channel. First of all, we do have our ThunderConductor proxies. It's my way to increase access to this amazing format that we call cEDH. Not to mention, we also do have our ThunderConductor community. Please join me on Discord, bro. Open community, we have fun. But if you want deeper dives, access to the community, also a way to ask me more personal questions, both in my personal life and also when it comes to Magic Gathering. Not to mention, get shout outs. Shout out to Dre. On all of our Twitch streams and all our YouTube videos. It's a great way to support the channel and keep the lights on. And if you say ThunderConductor, I don't care nothing about no what's up, Fractured Ages? If you are basically saying I don't care nothing about no ThunderConductor proxies or any Discord or any Patreon, I just want to say one time, for the one time I want to support you. Link in the bio. Go in and buy me a coffee. Keeps me up and keeps the lights on in the way that y'all don't know. But with that said, let's do some test hands. And it's great to see you, Ages. Everything's been going great, dog. I just been living my best life, man. Let's do some test hands. I'm gonna refresh this one time. I look for my test hands. I'm looking for turn 1 to turn 2 Teferi. Or like a substantial draw engine to get a game plan going if I just want to go fully mid-range. First, I'm just going to roll for a turn order. I'm going third. Okay. So, good. Cool. We're going to have to get you in some gameplay. We're going to be doing some gameplay in about like 15, 20 minutes. So if you want to play, drop in. I'll let you know when we're going into the Discord. If you all don't know, Aegis is my local Orvar pilot. So, this is, we're just going to see our first 7. All right. So first 7, we have a Spraz and Scary, a Mox Opal, a Fetch Land. So we untap with 3 mana. Then we have, we can play this to help turn this Sensei's Divining Top on. We do also have a copy artifact. So actually we do have, this is not a power artifact, this is a copy artifact. So the way it's looking, this, one thing I'll let y'all know is this deck actually does not mulligan extremely well. There's a universe that I actually would keep this for turn 2. Yeah, like I can go turn 1 Spraz and Scary and Mox Opal, Misty Rainforest, turn 2 Crack It, cast the top, and with the island to actually tap this for 2 to cast a copy artifact. If we can get our hands onto a Mana Vault or a Grim Monolith, that would be great, because then we have a turn 3 Teferi. And I know I said turn 1 to 2 Teferi. You actually want to turn 2 to 3 Teferi. Once we get Teferi down, we could untap 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have this Nexus of Fate. We need 6, 7 mana. Or we can just sit back on our Sensei's Top and sculpt our hand. We also do have a Transmute artifact. Now that I look at this hand and kind of break it down, it's not the best hand in the world, but it's a hand I'm willing to fight for. Yeah, I'm going to keep it. I'm going third, so we'll draw. Oh, 1 ring on top. That changes things. I think we may just sit back and draw a shit ton of cards. We'll play this. We'll add 2 counters to it. Play it tapped, and we'll also cast this Mox Opal. Go to our turn 2. Urza Saga. Man, they're trying to make this hard for us. What I'm seeing right now is I will definitely play this Urza Saga, because that's going to better set us up. And then I'm going to, how I like to do it is I like ask a condition and I will flip for it. So I'm going to flip for, like, is there a Mana Vault on board? So we'll flip for that. There's not a Mana Vault. Is there a Grim Monolith on board? Flip for it. No, it's a heads again. All right. Well, is there a Basalt Monolith on board? No head. All right. Is there a Soul Ring on board? Okay, there's a Soul Ring on board. All right, so we have a Soul Ring on board. We'll tap this for colorless and a blue, removing 1 counter from this. Got a blue floating. And do this mana counters, mana tracker. Got a blue floating. And we will cast the copy artifact for the Soul Ring. And then we have that blue floating. So now we'll have, we have 1, 2, 3. We can't cast the One Ring this turn, which sucks. We can live with it. Yeah, we'll use that 1 blue floating to actually. Yeah, because this will leave us with 3 mana with the Mox Opal. It's a little poopy, but it's fine. We'll use two. Yeah, we'll use one of the colors. We'll float 2 colors. We'll float 1, and we'll cast a State Divine Top, and we'll look at the top 3. 1, 2, 3. We got a colorless and a blue floating. Well, no, we've already used this colorless. And got a Chrome Mox we can draw next turn. I feel like since we plan on casting the One Ring next turn, we have a fetch land. We also have to remember we have a fetch land next turn. So whatever we put on top is the only card we're going to draw. So we're going to put a Taxion Probe on top. Just give it just on rep. We get to get information from our opponent's hands to see if they're running any counters to stop our One Ring, and then we will do, what is it, Chrome? See, I wish I had the Gataxian Probe. What I'll actually do at this point is, let's also think about the fact that we have this Nexus of Fate in hand. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because our Mox Opal is online now. We can also remember we can activate this at any time. So for now, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can actually cast Nexus of Fate at instant speed next turn, or we can go for a Teferi, untap a shit ton of shit, and then cast Nexus of Fate. But the only things we would lose are Surprise and Scary. So this is interesting. So what we're gonna do is because we can change this, we'll just go. We'll just go this. We'll leave it on top like this because we're taking it nice and slow. We'll leave it like this. And then we'll pass turn. We'll let the blue fizzle, and I'm fine with that. Let the blue fizzle. And then I will. Let's see. Remove. All right, fine. We'll do it the old school way. Remove it. If y'all know the hotkeys, please tell me what the hotkeys are. All right, so we'll start this turn off. Gataxian Probe, paying 2 life. Draw. Got the Curse Stone. We already knew it was there. And then at this point, Urza Saga goes to 2. We'll pay for 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, we can do 2 things. We can cast our commander first and then untap all our shit to cast the One Ring. I think first thing I'll do is I'll play my fetch land. Down ticket. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, we probably should have got the Chrome Mox because we'd be able to untap it. It's fine. Live and learn. Crack this, lose a life, and then we'll go get the island. Close and shuffle. Got an island now. All right, so we know if we go to our next turn. Can we win if we go to our next turn? We'll have the 2 blue. The biggest thing that I'm thinking about is the Urza Saga's tricking off next turn. We have a tutor. Can we win? On our next turn, because we'd have 4, because we'll get a mana vault. So 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Because we'll lose this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we lose this to the graveyard. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You just gotta make sure we would untap all 4 of these things. Go. We'd have 8, so we'd be able to pay 2 blue. So we'd cast our commander next turn, and then untap everything. These 4 permanents. Pay 2 blue and 2 more. Put this onto the field. And then as long as we use, because it'd be, yeah, Yes, we'd be good actually, because of this 8 mana, we'd only be able to Teferi. Yeah, I'm mumbling now, you guys. We can win next turn if we wanted to, because yeah, we can add instant speed. We just cast Nexus of Fate when someone tries to win, but we're actually not going to do that. This is actually where we'll stop the hand right here. This is where this is the pendulum table. We're going third. And this is turn 3. This is actually where I would probably honestly recommend you develop with the 1 ring. It's not going to be the best 1 ring, but it's fine. It just probably be 1, 2, 3, 4, and I should probably tap like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let it just be like that. Hold up and probably go at that point. We also probably want to develop with the curse totem, but we would end up losing this, which kind of sucks, but it's like it is what it is. Yeah. That Chrome Mox would go ham right now, but we'd have to exile either our combo piece, tutor, or that. I'd be fine with that. It just depends. I think actually with the top, it depends on the positioning, but you would actually want to there's three directions you can go. Either go Nexus of Fate to win on your next turn, 1 ring to set up more for the mid-range game, and the turn 3 1 ring is not the best. It's really not very good, but it is. Or if you feel like your opponents are like winding up to win, go ahead and do Curse Totem and just keep it like that. And that's just, I would stop here. You know what I'm saying? This is where this is too game dependent to keep going. So let's go see a second 7. I think that was a mid hand. I probably could have taken something better, but I'm not mad at that. Second 7, not bad. See Spraz and Scary again. We have an Ancient Tomb, no mana rocks though. We can get a turn 3 Tezzeret. Yeah, this hand is not amazing, because we're not doing, the only thing we're doing at this point is brainstorming, which is fine. It's like very mid. We can actually lead, instead of having to tap our Spraz and Scary, we can just go turn 2, hold up in 3 mana, brainstorm, fake like we have a counter spell, because everyone thinks because you're mono blue you have all the counter spells. Fake that we have 2 mana counter spell, brainstorm our end step. But that's that. Yeah, let's go see a second 7. Okay, let's see what turn we are going, because we have a gemstone. We're going first. Unfortunate. All right, so this is just fetch land, Gravedigger's Cage, and turn 2. Yeah, if I could have held hard casted Fierce Guardianship up turn 2 after a turn 1 Gravedigger's Cage, I would think about it, but no, this is a bit booty cheeks hand. Let's go check out a 6. Not the best, like I said, this is not the best deck to try to mulligan hard down, but yeah, let's see. 6 is why do we keep getting this? Gemstone Caverns, folk. We got Fractured Age of Sand. Also looks like I'd be able to hop in game whenever what time comes. I don't think I've seen your Teferi or haven't looked super close at it. Curious to see how it plays out. Okay, let me know. Let's see. This is a 6, and this is usually where the line is drawn in the sand, but we actually cannot cast any of these spells, so we have to go to 5. All right. This is where all personal feelings go to the side. We will keep this. It will be land. Gemstone Caverns again. What the fuck? Have some turn 1 interaction. We'll go turn 2 Moon Silver Key. Go get a Crypt or a Mana Vault, and we can either keep because turn 3 we can hold open. We can crack the Moon Silver Key, go get a Crypt, cast it, and hold open Cyclonic Rift and we can Buried Ruin. Nah. Put this at the bottom. This is a very mid 5, but we'll keep it. Oh, okay. All right. Turn 2 Curse Totem. We're going first, so this is actually not bad. Crack it. Then we will get an island. We are just going for a grindy, very grindy game. No turn 1 plays. We are holding open Mindbreak Trap in case anyone tries to do turn 1 crimes or get too greedy. Turn 2. Okay. We're just going to go land and Curse Totem. All right. Oh, maybe not. not that. Tap this, go Turret Totem, and then pass. All right. Now we have this 4 mana rock and this 3 mana rock, and we've been holding up with this Mindbreak Trap. Now it's the point where we could have been greedy and put down the Moonsilver Key. Now it's the question of, we don't have another land drop. Unfortunately, it is what it is. We don't have a draw engine, and we can't cast these 2 spells. So at this point, I'm going in my head, what is the board looking like to either go Cyclonic Rift or Moonsilver Key? Like, if I get Moonsilver Key down, I can hold open Cyclonic Rift next turn. If I hold open Cyclonic Rift, I'm not developing my own board at all. So that's gonna put me too far back. I'm gonna have to pray. It's very dependent. If someone looks like they're primed to win, I would actually say this point, it's not even greedy. It's just you have to develop your own board state. Go and cast the Moonsilver Key. Go to turn 4. Okay, we have Mystic Sanctuary. This is interesting. We actually could get an island to have this coming untapped, but fuck that shit. We're gonna activate Moonsilver Key. Go get a Mana Crypt, or actually, search your library for an artifact card with a mana ability or basic land. We can get a 3 mana rock. No, we're gonna get Mana Crypt. Because actually, no, we can't get Mana Crypt. All right, this is where tough decisions have to be made, y'all. So if this is our land for turn, we do want to hold up Cyclonic Rifts. We are 100%. But when we cast Teferi next turn, we need another 2 mana rock to do our combo. So the thing about it would, if we got a Mana Vault, yes, we would have to cast it this turn, pretty much to have our turn 5 Teferi, which is really bad. I don't know how we stay alive in this pod. But the thing is, at the end of the day, is if we get Crypt and we get a land, even if we were to draw another land, we have to hope to get another 2 mana rock to get 3 permanents that tap for 5 mana to do our Chain Veil. So actually, I'm not gonna lie, we actually have to go get Mana Vault. I'm not gonna cap. And it sucks, but Mana Vault will go to the hand. We actually can't even hold up the Cyclonic Rift, so I would just cast the Mana Vault. And we'll play the Mystic Sanctuary as our land for turn comes in tapped. And then if we just go shuffle this one more time, and we'll go to this turn. This is cool because then we can go 6. We have now we have a reason actually to hold all this open. At this point, so I jumped to it. Let me actually talk to you all through my mindset. So we have a choice. We can either hold open a hard casted Fierce Guardianship. Fuck no. We can't overload a Rift because we don't have 7 mana, even if we were to untap the Teferi. So then we're left with a choice. If there was a Dockside on board, we could go Teferi, untap all of our permanents, hold up on Fierce Guardianship, cast the Machine God's Effigy with 4 mana, go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we could. This comes out of the copy. It's Dockside. We'd have 1, 2, 3. We need that Dockside to tap for at least 4, and then we would be able to keep Teferi around for rotation. So let's see. Is there a Dockside on board? Flip for it. There's a Dockside. So let's just Magical Cuckoo land. We've had a very interesting go of it. We'll cast Teferi. We will minus 1 Mr. Teferi and untap all of our permanents. And then tap for 4. Machine God's Effigy comes in as a copy of Dockside. Then we can honestly pass the turn. We are holding up in 2 counter spells, Mindbreak Trap and Fierce Guardianship. At this point, we've probably at this point already have used a Mindbreak Trap, but this is where we will be looking to then overload Rift by going 1, 2, 3. And resetting the board, and at this point, we'll say we made 4 treasures, whatever in the fuck not. And at this point, we're just looking to get lucky. The Cyclonic Rift only going to hold people back for so long. So being able to uptick this, look at the top 2. Now we're in a very interesting spot. We have a Displacer Cannon on top of our library and a Muddle of the Mixture. This is extremely interesting. This actually did not untap. That hit us from 1 life. We have a choice between Misdirection and Displacerkin. I really want to put this on the bottom and the Displacerkin into my hand. This is only thing that sucks about this is that we can play this as our land for turn. We don't want to drop the kitten preemptively. We just don't have a way to flicker it right now. It just depends on how many treasures we made. Okay, so this is the one thing I'll say. And we're going to stop. We're going to do one more hand. If we made a shit ton of treasures, we could go Displacer Kitten and then Staff of Domination. Flick, trigger Displacer Kitten to then go... what is this? Flicker the Teferi to probably honestly go untap a lot of mana. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why? Because that we can actually we probably would go 1, 2, 3, 4, have 1 mana open. We would probably do that, and if we, depending on the treasures we made from the dock side from last turn, we could go Staff of Dom and then try to honestly uptick to see if we can keep going. Like, it'd be a heuristic study and a world of invention. So this is too loose. So because we didn't do a roll for treasure count, we're going to stop this one, but just know it got into something. But let's see if we can get a juicy 7. Let's see if I want to show you all the power of this deck. One more. This is a decent hand. No, it's not. It's a trap. We saw the Mana Crypt and got happy. Teleria West, Mana Crypt. If we draw a land, okay, no, actually this is a decent hand. We have a turn 2 Trinket Mage. I wish, nah. We have if we draw a land in our first 2 draws, we can get a turn 2 1 ring. Trinket Mage is really great. Have an extra turn effect, and we have a bounce spell. What turn are we going? Is the question. Going forth. Don't love to see that, but let's keep this. The possibility of a turn 2 ring is making me too happy. And we have a turn 2 ring possibility. I'm gonna tell y'all right now what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this Trinket Mage out turn 1. Just let y'all know this right now. I'm gonna get Trinket Mage out turn 1. Trinket Mage. Go get Mana Vault, actually. Because yes, I live on the edge. Do I actually want to get Mana Vault or want to get Soul Ring? Yeah, I'm gonna get Mana Vault. Get that to hand. And I will close and shuffle. And then I'll go to my next turn, roll for Crypt. Oh, we are rewarded. Flip a Crypt. It's a heads. Lose 3. And then I will tap Mana Crypt to cast Mana Vault. Use the floating colorless. Tap this Mana Vault. Cast the 1 ring. All right. Then I'll add the counter to this and draw right now. Oh my. Okay, so this is what we've been wanting to see. This is what we've been wanting to see. Okay. With the Manifold Key, we are able to get multiple 1 ring activations off, and we actually have the ability to do that. Teleria West, almost not waiting to play the Teleria West, was actually really goated. We can go Mox Opal, cast the Manifold Key. All right. And we can actually hold this 1 ring activation up, or we just do it right now. I want to make a land drop because actually, do we want to play the Manifold Key right now? Because we would fall under a Mind Break trap. No, fuck it. No, yeah, we play the Mind Break track. The thought process is we're on turn 2 going forth. This is where your mind needs to be. We have an extra turn effect that will not let our permanents untap. So we do not, and make sure this permanent doesn't untap. We do not want to get greedy and try to do shit to turbo this out. This card is only viable because if we have Teferi out, like we go Teferi, untap, cast the Savor the Moment, and then we can untap our permanents with Teferi's -1 ability. So what I'm looking at is 1, 2, 3, 4 mana next turn. So what I probably want to do is play the tap Teleria West. And let's just kind of fake interaction, but even more just hold open this Mana Vault. We'll tap during the end step before this turn, untap, and then tap it for 2. Draw. Oh, Heuristic Study. Then we'll untap upkeep, lose 2. We'll lose a life for Mana Vault, and we got to roll for Crypt. It's a heads. We'll lose 3. We are at 31 life. It is fine. Okay, so first thing we'll do, start off, tap the 1 ring, of course. 3. Okay, so we're in a very great position. This is turn 4. We're going forth with turn. We're going forth on turn 3. So this is the point where I'll stop. This is we've experienced a great hand. There's multiple directions we go. We could further develop. We do not have a voltaic key, or else we could do our chromatic orrery, voltaic key, Rings of Brighthearth. That kind of sucks. We do have a tutor for it, so we could during the end step flat do the Whirl of Invention. What we also could do is untap the mana vault, untap the mana vault to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Play the chromatic orrery, hold up the Whirl of Invention, and go for a win next turn to create infinite draws and infinite mana next turn. With that, only thing about that, with our current board state, I wouldn't be mad if our opponents fucking just kicked our walls in and be like, no, we're not letting a chromatic orrery resolve. We could just develop with heuristic study to draw more cards. That's never a bad idea. We could hold open a overloaded cyclonic rift and then really do nasty stuff on our following turn. We literally really could go, if we hold open the cyclonic rift, which would be untap, would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Means we'd have to discard down to hand, which sucks just a little bit. We could then, because this turn, yeah, the peak kind of helps. Yeah, I think the safest route will be hold open the cyclonic rift, to be able to present a win next turn, but it wouldn't be a win specific. It would be a win next turn. We could do, yeah, it would be a new win next turn. It would be be hold open cyclonic rift, cast chromatic orrery on our next turn once our opponent's boards are bounced, and then go tap 5 for time warp, target ourselves with the 5. Then we can go Whirl of Invention, X equals 1 for a voltaic key, use voltaic key and Rings of Brighthearth to make infinite mana with our chromatic orrery. And then at this point, I will probably just pitch our 2 cantrips to go down to 7. I know we have a heuristic study. We really don't need it. We have an we have another extra turn effect too. And so we never have to cast or command. This is a turn 4 win. And we could go for a win this turn, but it would be extremely greedy and not wise. I am not going to give you all that example. I would just go for a safe, more mid-range win. Hold open the go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cyclonic rift on the end step, and just go like that, nice and simple. Then you'll have the 3, 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for the chromatic orrery. Follow that up with the whirl. Then just do it like that, or no, follow that up with the time warp to the whirl to the Rings of Brighthearth, and that'd be it. That's it. Nice, perfectly clean turn 4 win going forth, which I really actually will recommend this one go forth. And each of those times we'll be able to draw a substantial amount of cards. So we're counter magic. We don't have any counter magic in our hand right now, so we would have to just time our cyclonic rift right, and probably just lean on the politicking of like, okay, hey guys, this is a problem. This person about to do it. I'm going to overload a rift. Them not knowing that I have the win on my untap. So, politicking. But with that being said, I want to say thank you all so much for an amazing deck tech. We're going to be getting some gameplay very soon, so if you are looking forward to that, check out our next video that'll be coming out this Friday on YouTube. And if you're on Twitch, stay tuned. We'll get right into it right now. I just want to say I love you all. You all are amazing. Thank you so much. If you are looking for ways to support the channel, number 1, we have our ThunderConductor community where you can just join the Discord, have some fun. Let's just be chill. But also, if you want to get deeper access to the Discord to allow you to do things like ask me questions about my personal life and about MTV and even more, get your own decks featured and get shout outs. Shout out to Dre once again, and just get shout outs and be the best version of you. join the Discord. If you are looking for another way, we do have our ThunderConductor paperback proxies, premium paperback proxies, that allows me to increase access to this amazing format that I like to call cEDH. And very last, if you say, I don't want the proxies, I don't want none of that other stuff that is of the Patreon area, I just want to say one time for the one time, I just want to support you. Buy me a coffee. It keeps me up and keeps the lights on. So with that being said, let's talk soon. I'll see y'all in the next gameplay video. Be great. Peace.